The FCC is taking advantage of staff shortages in tribal offices during the pandemic in order to allow the construction of 5G towers on indigenous land. Now they're doing this without consulting with the tribes, and it is exactly what you would expect from the FCC under the Trump administration. So this started off with the FCC essentially increasing the number of proposals for 5G towers, essentially overwhelming indigenous workers who actually inspect these types of proposals to make sure that you're not encroaching on indigenous land. Well, the Muskogee Creek Nation works on projects in 12 states across the Midwest and Southern United States and is expected to inspect proposals for every 5G tower that goes up in those states. On average, it receives about 150 small cell tower projects per month. Oh, but wouldn't you know it? But since the start of COVID-19 in March, it actually started receiving about 1,700 requests per month. So this is very intentional. It's meant to drown them with requests, especially at a time when they have worker shortages because people are home as a result of the pandemic. Now, due to the staff shortage during the pandemic, the tribal reps could not actually respond to all of these requests. And so Sheila Bird, who's the former preservation officer, said this to Vice News: especially now with the pandemic, the FCC is doing so much work knowing the tribes are vulnerable and hardly in the office. That's where the FCC is actually benefiting by using a loophole in the law. So let me just quickly explain what that loophole is according to what Vice is reporting. According to section 106 of the 1966 National Historic Preservation Act, every federal agency must consider the impacts of its actions on historic sites for new construction projects. On indigenous land, this includes consulting with the tribal historic preservation officer. If the tribe, though, does not respond to a consultation request within 30 days, the company can continue with the project. It's insane. It's just stealing land. I mean, that's what this country is really good at anyway. So I guess this is what we should expect. But doing it on behalf of corporations for 5G towers, of course.
The American government stealing land from Native Americans. Never heard of it. Yeah, must be new. So look, the more you peel back American history and the American present, the more unfortunate it looks. So history is written by the winners, and in this case, the winners are the right wing and multinational corporations. So they write little marketing myths about how it's a land of opportunity, and we've all got the American dream, and it's all meritocracy. So if you're a billionaire, you deserved it, and if you're poor, you deserved it. And power is power. And so Native Americans don't have enough power. Let's roll over them. So if it's North Dakota, we're gonna go right through your lands and we're gonna grab the oil. And if you protest, we'll send the cops, who are basically Pinkertons now. And this again from American history, and they will beat you and then enslave you. That's what putting you in jail unjustly. That's what it is, right? Takes away your freedom, and then they usually make you work. So in some jails for $1 a day, $1 a day. That's slavery. But now it's on behalf of corporations, oil companies, internet companies. It doesn't matter who's paying the government. Guys, I've been telling you this for over a decade. People work for the folks who sign their checks. Okay, so our politicians' checks get signed by private corporations, so they work for them. So don't get surprised every time a corporation says, "Hey, government, do as I tell you. If I want it, you give it to me." And they go, "Yes, sir." If you do public financing, they might work for the public. But Republicans scream, "No, we don't want them working for the public." It's great when our representatives represent corporations that aren't even humans. Okay, if you say so, but I think we're in a disastrous state right now.
Yeah, definitely. And just to give you more details on what's going on, in July, the FCC also tried to pass 2 new amendments to reduce tribal consultations. One of the amendments would exempt Section 106 consultations for companies expanding on an existing tower of less than 30 feet. So if they're going to build another tower on this land, they want to make sure that they don't even need to consult with indigenous workers who get to review that and make a decision about what's in the best interest of indigenous people who own that land. It's just, and by the way, I mean, this is kind of related. Right now, the Trump administration is facing all sorts of lawsuits from American citizens who live at the border because their land has been seized in order to build Donald Trump's ridiculous border wall. So these land grabs are happening all over the place and they barely get any attention. I mean, I'm glad that Vice reported on this particular story, but outside of that, I mean, we live in this country where Americans are told over and over again, like, oh, this is the land of opportunity, the right to own property. Not really though, not really, because if the government wants it, they'll go ahead and fight for it on behalf of corporations. And that's exactly what's happening here. In West Virginia, the FCC first proposed a broadband expressway project in 2018 to build 150 new 5G towers across one of the ancestral homelands of the United Kituwa Band of Cherokee Indians in Oklahoma. Even though the band refused to sign the proposal, the project was re-upped this year and is going ahead anyway.
That's the government run by those corporations going, what are you gonna do about it? You're not gonna do anything about it. On the one hand, you have Donald Trump, whose government is authorizing this, who's the biggest con man of all time, who actually has given them everything they've ever wanted. The rich are thrilled under Donald Trump, thrilled. On the other hand, you have corporate Democrats who allow the rich to do everything they want. And then on the third hand, you have corporate media. And corporate media tells you, now the one set of folks who could help you are progressives. So remember, do not vote for them. They will never win. They will never get anything passed. They're trying to help you, boo. We don't want progressives. Oh, you're stealing Native American land? Oh, I didn't notice, who cares? Yeah, yay. Oh, by the way, what's the corporate media? Oh, right, they're multinational corporations. They're gigantic multi-billion-dollar corporations, some of whom actually benefit from this exact thing. So why would they cover a thing where they're doing the robbery? Not a lot of bank robbers run news stories about their own bank robberies. So look, earlier in the week, we reported to you they're now trying to privatize the water. So it's a vice that they have us on, and it just keeps getting tighter and tighter and tighter until it's gonna explode.
Yeah, and they're not trying. They've done it. They've commoditized water. It'll be traded in the stock market.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.